If you've booked in your first hypnotherapy session and you're feeling nervous, wondering, what's going to happen? What if I can't be hypnotized? You're not alone. Almost everybody feels that way before their first session. I know I did. The more you know, the more successful your session will be. In this video, I'll explain exactly what happens in a typical hypnotherapy session so you can get the best results possible. What your hypnotist will say, what you may experience, and what you're responsible for. Because you have an active role to play here, and you need to know what that is. Think of hypnotherapy a bit like going to the airport for the first time. Can you remember that? You don't really know what's going to happen. Someone checks your ID, you have to take your shoes off, walk through a scanner. It all feels strange at first, but once you've done it once, you realize that every step has a purpose. The process is there to get you smoothly from where you are to where you need to go. Hypnotherapy is the same way. Each part of the session has a reason behind it. From the very first hello to the moment you open your eyes. Every step is designed to help you move from your normal, everyday thinking into that focused state where you can make some real changes. The first step can seem like nothing's going on, but it's absolutely crucial to the success of the whole session. Whether you're meeting in an office or online, your hypnotist will start with some small talk. A quick greeting, a sound check if you're online. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Maybe a smile to help you settle in. They want to make sure you're comfortable. And you're using this time to see if you like this person. You want to feel like they want the very best for you. Studies show that the connection between therapist and client is one of the strongest predictions of success in hypnotherapy, in any therapy for that matter. You can think of it like laying a runway. If it's smooth and stable, everything that follows is going to go easily. Once you feel at ease, the therapist will move on to the next step. Maybe the thought of flying makes your stomach churn, or having to give a talk at work is making you miserable, or maybe you have terrible pain in one of your legs. You're going to talk a little about the issue that brought you to the hypnotherapist, but they are probably going to try to frame it differently by asking a simple but perplexing question. What do you want? That can really catch some people off guard. Some people realize they never actually thought about what they want. They've just been so focused on what they're trying to avoid or get away from. The hypnotist might have to do a little coaching here. In fact, I don't even like to use the word hypnotherapy. It sounds too much like, I don't know, therapy. Tell me about your mother. No, I've been to therapy before, and it was fun. I got to talk about my problems with someone who didn't judge me. But hypnosis is not like that. It's not about understanding why you have a problem. It's about figuring out who you want to be. Your hypno coach will help you figure that out. They're going to try to get you to frame your issue in that way. Instead of, I don't want to have a panic attack on a plane, you might say, I want to fly comfortably and confidently whenever I want to go somewhere. I want to be a happy traveler. Instead of, I don't want anxiety, you might say, I want to feel calm and confident. I want to be a confident person. Way before your session starts, this is something you can start thinking about right now. Who do I want to be? What is that person like? You might even start to see some changes from that exercise alone. Once your goal is defined, they'll probably ask you a few questions about your history. How long has this issue been there? What helps? What makes it worse? Before explaining how hypnosis itself works. They want to know how you are doing the problem, the thought processes that are keeping you from getting where you want to be. I used to have a terrible fear of heights, and living in Switzerland, that is no joke. Mountains, ski lifts, cable cars hanging thousands of feet above nothing. Here is how I would do the problem. I would imagine the cable car or the ski lift getting stuck and blowing in the wind, and we all have to climb out onto the cable, trying to make our way to safety, looking down and feeling like we're about to fall. I used to be able to terrify myself, and I probably still could, but I just don't do that anymore. So next, your hypno coach will probably start trying to calm any fears or misconceptions you have about hypnosis. And they'll explain exactly what's going to happen. This is called the pre-talk, and it's where most of the myths about hypnosis get cleared up. I'll give you a little bit of it right now, but each person is going to do it a bit differently. You're aware the whole time, you're in control, and we are working together to reach your goal. You have an active role to play in the hypnosis. You're not just zoned out. If I ask you to imagine something, do your best to imagine it, whatever that means for you. Some people feel like they can't see pictures in their mind, and that doesn't matter. Just get a sense of what I'm talking about. It's not a battle of will. That is what the whole pre-talk is about. If it becomes a battle of will, you will win every time, which means you'll leave exactly as you came in, which kind of defeats the purpose. But better to do that if the hypnotist asks you to do something you really don't want to do. Just find someone else in that case. It's more like being on a safari. You're driving the Jeep, And I'm just the guide, suggesting paths you could take, things you could look at. You're the one steering, pushing the gas pedal, hitting the brake, which is why it's so important to know your goal and be willing to move towards it. Once you understand that, the idea of hypnosis stops feeling mysterious or intimidating. That sense of safety and understanding is what makes it work. From there, the hypnotist will begin guiding you and helping you focus your thoughts. This is where the hypnosis actually starts. Your hypnotist might ask you to look at a point on the wall, take a deep breath, or close your eyes. Their voice will guide you to focus inward while your body relaxes. You don't actually have to relax, by the way, but it is a good signal to your brain that you're safe. You'll probably notice your breathing slow down, maybe a feeling of heaviness or lightness in your limbs. It's not like falling asleep. You'll still hear everything and stay aware. In fact, a lot of people say, I don't think I was hypnotized. I heard every word you said. But here's the funny part. They still make the change they came in for. People often feel like they made the change themselves and that hypnosis played no role. And they're right. They did make the change themselves. It's just interesting that it happened right there during a hypnosis session they thought didn't work. One of the people who trained me told me a story about a client he had who'd been trying to quit smoking for years. A few weeks after the sessions, the client said to him, I don't know why I paid you. I never was hypnotized. I just decided to quit smoking on my own. Okay. Clients say things like that because being hypnotized doesn't feel like anything. You're just listening and thinking and making decisions. Once you're relaxed and focused, the hypnotist will usually deepen that state so your mind can really concentrate on the work ahead. They might use imagery like walking down a staircase or floating gently down or maybe lifting up to the sky. Some people worry that their imagination isn't good enough or they can't picture things in their minds. Don't worry about that. Just get a sense of what I said, whatever that means for you. And you have control over this too. If the hypnotist says something you don't like, just change it in your mind. For example, if the hypnotist suggests taking a long, leisurely walk on a beach and you hate beaches, don't waste energy getting upset about it. Just change it to a place you love. They should tell you that ahead of time, but if they don't, just take it from me. You're in charge of making it work for you. You're the one who wants the result. And it's not about losing consciousness. It's about focusing in. Then the real work begins. Depending on your goal, your hypnocoach might use positive suggestions, gentle imagery, or maybe even ask you questions. You could answer out loud, but a lot of times, so you don't have to talk, they use what's called an ideomotor signal. That means a finger twitches or an arm lifts up to indicate yes or no. Sometimes it might feel like you're doing it. Other times it just happens because an unconscious part of you is responding. And you may do imagination exercises. For example, if you're working on pain relief, you might imagine a dial that turns down discomfort. If it's a fear, you might visualize yourself responding differently, calmly, confidently. And some moments can be surprisingly emotional. Sometimes a wave of relief or an unexpected insight surfaces. But you'll always feel supported and you're in control. You're not really there in that emotional situation. You can speak, you can move, open your eyes at any time. The goal isn't to go under, it's to stay focused enough that change becomes effortless. When the therapeutic work is complete, your hypnotist will guide you back to full awareness. They might count from 1 to 5 or simply suggest that you take a deep breath and you bring your energy back into your body. You'll open your eyes feeling refreshed, alert, and calm. Contrary to movie myths, you don't wake up from hypnosis, you just shift your inner focus back to your normal awareness. If you've ever done meditation or shavasana in yoga, it's a similar feeling of coming back to the room. If the session ended suddenly, you'd come back on your own. No one's ever been stuck in hypnosis. It's as natural as daydreaming. I once was working with a client online and she was imagining her own birth and what was happening right afterwards. And the internet went out. And this was several years ago. And I went into a near panic trying to reconnect. It took about 10 minutes. And when I finally reconnected, she was smiling happily. What happened? I asked. She said she didn't hear me for a while, so she just assumed she had to continue on by herself. And she imagined that sadness that her birth mother had when she gave her up for adoption and the love her mother felt for her. She realized that the decision to give her up wasn't abandonment. It was just the most loving thing that she could do for that child. I get emotional just thinking about it. My client did all that on her own, and she felt a great wave of relief. And then she opened her eyes and she saw that we'd been disconnected, and then she rejoined the call. Getting disconnected rarely happens, but you can always say, hey, are you still there? It doesn't break the hypnosis or anything. I've had people suddenly open their eyes and ask me a question, and I just answer them, and we go right back into whatever we were doing. When the hypnosis is done, most people describe feeling light or clear-headed or pleasantly grounded afterward, as if they've just finished a meditation that really accomplished something. You might talk about it, but sometimes it's better just to let it all settle quietly. You might remember every detail or only fragments, like recalling a dream. It really varies for everybody. And your hypnotist might reinforce a key phrase or idea from the session, something like, that feeling of calm returns every time you take a deep breath. They may also suggest a self-hypnosis practice or a short recording to listen to at home. These reinforcements help strengthen the new patterns that began during the session. Many people leave feeling that something has shifted, but they're surprised by how normal it all felt. And that's the beauty of it. It's ordinary and extraordinary at the same time. You can make sure your session goes well by getting in the best mental shape you can beforehand. To start getting out of stress mode, reset your nervous system, and create the perfect foundation for change, watch this video, The Nervous System Reset. It'll help you move out of negative frameworks and into the kind of calm, balanced state where hypnosis and real transformation work best. I'll see you there.